Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. As always, I'm looking forward to spending some time with you. And today we're going to create this little design or something similar. You know what I'm like. And I just wanted to use these stamps. I love these. They're called the Fairy Shops. Now, do check out the array of houses, shops. I often get asked for ideas for mail cards, for children's cards, for new home cards, get well cards, and often for people that aren't into florals. Now, you know I am, unfortunately, can't apologise. I love my garden, I love florals, but it is nice to make a card, and I do get that not everybody, and you don't always need, when you're a card maker and you craft for your friends, it is nice to make a design that you know they're going to really love. So you make it for them, not for you. So often it's using colours that you wouldn't particularly use or not your favourites. You know what we're like. So I just think these two stamps are fabulous for this. And mine are on my acetate look. And it's always lovely to just use the acetate. But I've also I made a mask. I did a lovely card and I had trees behind them. So I cut a mask out of our masking sheets and I just stick it on the acetate so it's there ready to use again. So that's a useful tip, and that way I keep it with my stamp. But I thought this, you could, I mean, if you wanted, you could add more. You could add some birds. I'm giving you, you know what I'm like. I'm going for that starting point that you might think, oh, right, Jo, I need a card for a friend's birthday, but actually is into bats. You know, put some bats in the sky, or you know what you like, some birds, or you could add some shrubbery here, or there's lots of different ways you can take this. But the biggest tip I want to show you is, now, you know I'm not good with my camera work, but can you pick up the sparkle in the water splats? Now, this totally came about, and you probably can't pick, maybe down here. And if you can't, all I can do is apologise. I'm trying to get you to see it. But honestly, when you look at this card up here, look, there's some here. And it doesn't rub off, look. So those of you that are going to tell me, Jo, it rubs off. I'm rubbing that vigorously. But that sparkle is still there. And what it is I'm just going to put this here so I can see it. I was creating a design for a workshop and I used the Mica Minerals, the white sparkle. And I literally made a design where I dipped a brush in it and I did some painting with it, and I cleaned my brush in my water pot, and I didn't refresh it. So all I'm going to do is use that water. And it's so funny. And all I'd done was clean my brush in it, and there was enough that it just added. So I'm so glad that was a happy accident that I didn't clean my brush, because now when I flick my water, it just gives me that hint of sparkle. I'm so chuffed. I love it when things like that happen. So I'm going to start off. This is Multifarious card and it's 5.5 inches. As you know, what I've done with this is I've actually put it on a piece of white card, 6x6, because I could put it on my 6x6, but at the minute I've got a few events coming up where I may need a slightly larger card, a 7x7 or 8x8, and I thought I could mat and layer this. So at the minute it's on a 6x6 ready in case it's needed for more. So first of all, we'll stamp our lovely Fairy Shops. Now, have you got these? I'm going to use the black, the Nocturne Versafine Clair. These are again one of our older stamps. So if you're somebody who's been collecting them, and I say collecting because we do, don't we? If you've been collecting them for a while, have a look through, see if you've got these. These are in my section. Mine are sectioned in my drawers. I've got sentiments, trees, flowers, animals, fairies. Now, these come in, etc. The ones that I don't know where to put, but that's getting a bit full. See, I've got Halloween, I've got Christmas, but I may just have a section for houses and shops. Dwellings, maybe. I think I may have to have a subsection. I mean, I know we all store them differently, don't we? So I just want to pop them in the corner here. And these, if you're thinking, like, you know, I always am, the C word, Christmas. These make a lovely Christmas design. Stamp one of the trees, turn it into a Christmas tree, or like I say, mask them off, stamp some trees behind. Honestly, they make a lovely Christmas card. Look at that. The detail is just beautiful. But I thought today I'm going to team them up again with an older stamp. You know me, I worry that these older stamps that don't get played with very often because we use new ones. And this is gorgeous. It's called Trailing Ivy. And it's a beautiful corner ivy stamp. Again, I've had this one a while, but I just love it. And I just thought it would work well for this. So I'm sticking with the black. You could use one of your greens, but I thought for this, I just wanted to just keep with the black. And what I'm going to do is stamp it first in this corner here. And then lift up and just have a look. So we've got this lovely corner here, and I just wanted it to come over the shops, but I need some more down here. So if we ink up a bit more ink on there, and then maybe just bring this along, but bring it, angle it up into the design. But I'd like that to happen here. So maybe if I just ink up the end, and we just put a little, as though the ivy was just coming round. So you see how I just think it frames it beautifully. We've got that lovely shape. Now it might be you're not going to use the houses, but you've got this ivy stamp, and this gives you an idea for a corner. But you know what? I want to mirror the corners. So, you know, I've got to think about opposite corners. Now this, if you needed a quick card, would look lovely making opposite corners and then a sentiment. So I'm going to do like I did before and stamp the corner first. I mean, you could do all four, couldn't you? Make a frame all the way around. I mean, the options, I love taking a stamp I haven't used for a while and seeing just the versatility and how much I can use it. So this we need to come this way to mirror that design, don't we? So we just want to add, I've got some on the block there, give that a wipe. So we just want to add this little corner here, just as though it's growing round. And I just think that is such a pretty, now again I'm thinking Christmas, holly and the ivy. You could add a little mini holly stamp, add it, and again you've got a lovely frame. In fact, I might just make a note of that, because that could be, I think that would be a lovely design. So I need to make a mental note of that. I love doing Christmas cards, as you can tell. So just want to give that a blot. Again, it's a slower drying ink, so we don't want to smudge it. This design you could leave in black and white, but I'm thinking I want to add some colour. So first of all, I'm just going to come in with my line punch and a small brush. And I just want to give myself an idea to ground our beautiful shops. And just very quickly, and that's all I'm going to do there, just to give me that idea in my head. I can focus better if they're grounded. So next with our circle mask, and I'm just going to pop that here. Two reasons. One, I like it behind the shops, but I also like the way, look, it almost mirrors that shape. So it just looks really nice and appealing to the eye. So as always, look, I'm going to turn this upside down. Just going to pop it there, and I'm going to come in with the elements, the blue Lagoon. And as always, so if you're one of our new followers, I always blend in the lid. It's just something I've always done. I find the ink blends better on the brush. And if you do circular, sort of don't dab like this because your ink won't be even. Sorry, my table probably moved a bit then. I was probably dabbing a bit vigorously, so sorry. But actually, if you sort of blend and do circular motions, what you'll find is the ink gets distributed over your brush very evenly, and then you've less chance of getting those lines. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Again, tap on your mask first. If you've got a lot of ink, it takes some out on the mask, and it just means you'll get a much nicer coverage. And I'm just going to work my way around, look, round here, and just come to where the shops are. And then in the lid, blend round. And again, what I find is with these lovely non-slip mats, my lid doesn't move. So look, I can keep one hand on the mask and the other blending happily in the lid. I'm just going to blend a little bit of colour into that sky. And then I'm just going to turn that round. Now I need a little bit of blue down there. And all I'm going to do now, I'll pop the lid on there. If I just do this, look, and it doesn't hurt your brush, just sort of nip it a little. And I'm doing this at the end when I've got less ink on. Look how I can just get it, just to fill that space. It's just a little extra, but we just want a little bit of blue there. But just pinching the brush and just dabbing it down. And I just think already we're building up. So let's add some colour to the shops. Now I'm going to come in with my lovely pencils and just use a combination of different colours. So I'll tell you which ones I'm going to use. Right, they're in no particular order. So we've got number 3, number 5, 30, 19, 29, 27, 18 and 132. But I'm literally just going to do some lovely colouring, and again, this would be a great card. I mean, I'm going to do some quite speedy colouring, you know me. But if you could stamp a few of these, you know, and then just sit for the afternoon. Again, if you're having a rough day, and I hope you're not, I hope you're having a lovely day. Or is it evening? Are you watching in the evening, just when you're relaxing? Maybe planning the next day. But you know what? If you do want to just spend some time relaxing and colouring, it's lovely to just do that. Now, it might be, if it's a new home card, you want to go off a certain type of colouring. You know, do you know the colour of the new front door? I mean, you could add the number of the front door, couldn't you? We've got our lovely number stamps. I'm just going magical. And so for this shop, could be for a friend who likes shopping. I would say who doesn't, but depends. We all have different types of shops, don't we? I mean, what's your favourite type of shop? Carl's funny, you know, is a typical male, as in, loves food, but especially meat. You see, you know, I'm a cake girl. I love a baker's. Whereas Carl, he loves a butcher's. He will stand for ages, or a fishmonger's. He loves meat, fish. Ugh, not for me. Give me a good old cake shop. But again, you know, I always think it's funny. I mean, some ladies deviate towards handbags, some towards shoes. I've got to be honest, it's the obvious. I could say craft shop. But what's your go-to product? You know, what do you, like I say, for ladies, you're either a sort of a shoe. I mean, I'm scarves. Wherever we go, I tend to buy a scarf. I don't need any more. I've got drawers, cupboards full of them, but I love scarves. And my friends know, and it's lovely because my friends buy me scarves. But I like handbags as well. You know, I mean, we all know what we like. I've got friends that collect key rings and just can't go past somewhere that sells key rings. It is funny, isn't it? But craft-wise, so I'm just colouring in while we're chatting. and in no particular order. These watercolour pencils, so again, I could just leave them coloured in like this, or I could add water, but I'm just going to use my Wink of Stella Clear just to add a little bit of sparkle. So in a craft shop, what would you go to first? Now, is it the obvious? Is it stamps? Is it dyes? Is it inks? Is it sprays? See, I like using the sprays, but I prefer my inks. But obviously, lovely Sarah, she's a spray girl. She loves the sprays, a messy craft. But it's lovely how we all have different things. We all, as I say, deviate towards different. I love embellishments as well. And I think we can all be a bit of a magpie, can't we? And crafters, obviously, we keep everything. We're collectors. We're not just crafters. So this one, I'm going to go for a lovely red door. Although I've got a few different colours, obviously I've got the oranges, the blues, but I just want to keep the same. So obviously the red roof here and then the red door here. It will just balance the design. I don't want to introduce too many different colour tones. So again, we're going to have a red roof on here, and then we'll have lovely red shutters. And like I say, I'm hoping that you'll stamp this up and then make yourself a nice brew, get a nice cheeky biscuit or piece of cake, or are you being good, some fruit, maybe a little handful of nuts, raisins. Now, I've not got a deeper red, so I'm going to come in with my brown. Brown's a really good colour to add shadow on red. And just to build up, because obviously the moon's there, so this side here will just be in shadow, and that'll just help. Just give that extra detail. And it's often with these stamps, you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't particularly notice all the detail until I'm colouring in. And it's when you start colouring in and you think, oh, I'd not noticed that. This also is a lovely stamp to decoupage. It's quite a nice sort of easy-ish one to cut out. So various bits you could decoupage. So I'm just adding a little bit of brown now again, just to keep Wands and Wishes, this one's called. Again, imagine a shop where you could just go and buy wishes. How fabulous would that be? Right, it's my clear Wink of Stella. So I'm just going to come in. As I say, you could use your water brush. And I'll just start, and we'll have the lovely windows first, because they're the lighter colour, the yellow. And then I'm just going to go into this light brown here. And the Wink of Stella does two things. It blends those lovely pencils, makes my colouring look better, so that's good. And then it just adds that little bit of sparkle. So I'm going to go straight into that green. And look, where I didn't quite colour properly, it just blends it so it looks like I have. Right, I'll come into the orange now. And I do find it amazing as you're using this, how the colour just deepens, look. Can you see here how that colour's just deeper? And it really does make my colouring look better. And I'm all for that. I will do this orange here. And I'm just being mindful because I know I'll get a little bit of pencil, a little bit of the colour of the pencil on the end of my Wink of Stella. So if I go into the orange, then do you know what? I can go into the red, because that'll be fine. I don't need to clean my brush. Got a little bit of red there. And the door here. And I do find it's very good because it's not over wet. The colours don't bleed. And then into that. So I've gone into the red first. And then I'm just going to go into that area where the brown is. So here we'll start over this side of the roof, right across. So if you're worried about colouring with your pencils or getting lines, honestly, just using your clear Wink of Stella to blend is such a game changer for me. Just clean the bristles, and then we haven't touched the blue, so look, we'll go in and we'll just blend this lovely blue. And we have blue here. Look at that, so rich. Around the windows, over the door. Could have a row of shops, couldn't you? Could make yourself quite a little high street. And then into the dark blue. So again, just clean the nib, because look, but then it goes back to clear. And there we've got our lovely shops, very quickly coloured. So while that's just drying, I'm going to add, now you could leave it like this, but I want to frame the design. And so I'm going to come in with the lovely Pixie green. And what I'm going to do, if you look at the finished design, the colour's darker in the two corners where I've got the ivy. I just wanted a bit more sort of, the card to be a bit more dramatic there. So what we'll do, we'll start and blend in the corner where I've got the ivy. So again, in the lid, and just build that colour up in the corner, and then whiz along the bottom, up this side. And again, whenever I add ink, always start in that corner, because I want that deepest, I want that most colour. And then just we'll add a little bit in that corner, not too much, and a little bit in this corner. But you see how it's starting to build up. So if I turn it round and we do the same up here, start in that corner, build that colour up, it's so intense. And then as we've got less ink, just along the top. And again, this follows that lovely shape. And I think if you're mindful just to follow the shape. So let's have a look. So I think we can, a little bit darker there and there. Right, I'm just not happy with that edge there. So I'm just going to blend a little, just try and fuzzy. So I'm lifting the brush up a little bit, just fuzzy. That's better, fuzzying that edge there. Yep, happy with that. And what I'll do is I'm just going to clean this up, because if I don't, you know what will happen? I'll put my arm in it and then I'll get this beautiful green colour. Now, you could smoosh that on your card, give yourself a spare background. I'm just conscious we're spending a bit of time together, so I'm just going to clean mine up. And I'm happy with that, but I want to finish in tricks time. So, first thing we're going to do is pastel pencils, and let's add some shadowing. So underneath our beautiful shops, we'll add some shadowing. Just going to come in, but also just under the turret here, and just here, and the same here, down this side, and the same on this side. And it's amazing the difference. If I show you the finished design, now had you noticed the shadowing there? Now it's flat, but it just makes it look more 3D. And then biodegradable cotton bud. And again, look, I've used this one so many times. And I'm just going to blend it. The blending does two things, smudges it so it looks better. I think it looks more like a shadow, but also it'll fix it. if you did a whole design in your pastel, you'd need a spray fixative, but this is just such a small amount of pastel that we're fine just giving it a bit of a rub. And I think now that just looks, the shadow in there just makes it look, we'll add a little bit just under here, look, just to make that stand out a little bit. And again, round there. And again, we'll just give that a smudge. Maybe just under this roof here. And you see the difference, how it just makes it look more 3D, and I love that. So when we have shadows, we need some lovely highlights, don't we? So just with my pen, we'll just come in and we'll just add a couple of, maybe just in the door here, just catching, just thinking the moon's here. So this edge will just catch, maybe on the tiles we'll get a little in these windows. And again, you can add as little or as much as you wish, maybe just on that door there. And I don't want to overcook it. I'll add a couple on my beautiful ivy. Like I say, I can't wait to add the holly to this and some little berries. Now, I want a sentiment, so I'm going to go for our stickers, our sentiments. And I think I'm going to go for follow your path, because for me, these beautiful dwellings and shops, we're going to be a shopkeeper and follow our path. Now again, I quite like it over the moon there. And just to make it stand out, I'm going to edge it in black. And on this one, I'm going to do a frame. So I want each of the lovely edges to just stick out a little. So I've got a frame shape. And again, you can vary, you can add little dots, you can just put a line. Just have fun and play. Now I need a little butterfly. And I like this one here. And this is off our beautiful butterfly stickers. And again, I'm just popping it. And I just think if I put it there, look. Now it might be you want to stamp the mini butterfly. Just going to add a little bit of white highlight. Well, I would if my pen... Right. It's amazing, the back of my card, that's better. It's funny how you get used to using. If ever you get one of my cards, it'll always have some scribble on the back. So now I want to add those lovely water splats. And I'm going to come back in. Just need to give my moon mask a wipe. I didn't wipe it, because I don't want the splats to go where the moon is. So we'll pop this here. And then remember how my water brush is in this water that's got that little bit of sparkle in. So I'm just going to, and again, you could add the water splats wherever you want. I love them on the dark green. I think they show up really well. And I'm just sort of avoiding the houses. Now we'll lift that up and we'll give that a wipe. But I'm definitely going to do a Christmas version of this. Can't wait. I get so excited. And I think, do you know what? Making some Christmas designs now for me, it just takes that pressure off. Now, I like to let these dry naturally. So I'll bring in the finished one just so you can see that sparkle is still there, look. So do hope you've enjoyed today's little catch-up. And have you got the shops? I wonder, how about your ivies? I've had a look at my stamps recently and I've got a whole folder now just of ivy stamps. Very useful. So thanks so much for popping in. I hope you enjoyed it. So you take care, look after yourselves, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll pop back soon. Much love and hugs from me. Bye for now.